Hello, everyone. Psychic Readings by Brandi here, and I have received a really good question from someone who wrote in last week. They asked me about astrology readings. Apparently, they had received a free sample reading from someone online, and then they had booked a session with this person. And the astrology chart that they were reading from, they said, didn't look anything like the astrology chart they had seen in prior readings with other astrologers. And so this person didn't feel comfortable trusting the information from the particular astrologer that they had booked this reading with. And they kind of asked me to explain like why that might be, or to give them some like additional information without actually having been, in that reading to see how the astrologer had their chart pulled up, and without knowing what type of reading this person had booked. I didn't really have a lot of contextual details to go off of, but I did explain to this person, and just as I'm going to explain to you, that there are so many different kinds of astrology. It's possible that this person had been getting a specific kind of astrology chart reading in the past, and that this new astrologer that they had booked a new chart reading with had a completely different school system or a completely different style that they read in. So for example, there's a basic natal chart reading, which is your birth chart, okay? Exactly what the sky looked like at the time of your birth. And then there's transit astrology, and that is basically taking a peek at different things that might be coming up, or things that might be happening right now in your life. Obviously, you're not the same person that you were when you were born. And so some folks might pursue transit astrology in order to understand things that are happening currently in their life, or that might be coming up for them. So with the natal chart readings, it's important to understand that there are different varieties of astrology, and it has to really do with culture and time. So right now, one of the more recent versions of astrology you'll see is considered modern astrology, and it's really kind of based on psychological aspects that Carl Jung had developed. So it's a newer school of astrology. It's something that a lot of folks kind of like lean on when they're kind of typographing zodiac signs. It's also kind of one of those astrology schools that tends to give us some stereotypes. There's also the traditional, quote unquote, if you're not centralizing it as traditional, but there's traditional astrology, and it's the astrology that's been used essentially since medieval times. It's also considered within the traditional school of astrology. There's Hellenistic astrology, okay? And so that's really more kind of like what you see on the day-to-day for those of you located in like the United States, for example. And I would say that this is basically considered traditional because it's built on a more European concepts. So I hesitate to adopt the phrase traditional, and maybe I would adopt the phrase Western astrology, because the other reason I would say that is because Vedic astrology is based upon very ancient Sanskrit and Hindu texts. And that's a very holistic system of astrology that, it tends to be pretty accurate. And so when people say that traditional astrology is essentially Western astrology, or what we think of as European astrology, roots from European astrology, I kind of cringe a little bit, but you know, it's how it was kind of evolved and coined through centralized culture. And then not only, so Vedic astrology is something that kind of developed through Sanskrit and Hindu. These three are going to look different. They're going to be presented differently. The houses sometimes show up in like ways that you wouldn't normally see within one another. So it's really important to know what kind of astrology reading you're actually booking. You know, and whether it's actually a natal chart reading, a transit reading, or another type of reading. There's like there's electional astrology, which it's like if you are looking for the best time and day or time frame to do something, that's kind of like what you would book one of those readings for. What else is there? I'm trying to think. There's also like geographical astrology. So it's kind of like location. So if you're looking for like the best location for something to happen, usually locational astrology or geographical astrology would be something for that. There's also orrery. I always have a really hard time pronouncing that astrology. And that's kind of like you bring a very specific question to the astrologer and they answer that exact specific question. And so it's like you have to really know exactly what you want to know, because it's like a one and done type of a session. Whereas a lot of other astrology, it's like you're going through your chart and you're learning like lots of different concepts that are coming up and how they're related and, you know, things like that. And then, you know, there's like relationship astrology some folks do where it's like you're looking maybe at like a dynamic between two people. It's not something that's too popular because it's difficult to do. It's like a lot of moving parts, but it is something that some folks offer. There's also some people like they'll specialize in like medical astrology. And I mean, if you think about it, historically, a lot of the zodiac signs were typified and associated with body parts or anatomical regions. And so sometimes medical astrologers will be able to kind of give you information about health or your body. And then I'm trying to think of if there's another school here. I said electional, I said geographical, locational. I believe I covered all of them. Oh, there's also something considered evolutionary astrology, and it's like more kind of like if you're soul searching, it's really like a newer concept that's post 1960s. It developed in Western culture for people who are kind of like looking for life purpose and soul searching. It's very much kind of like this entangled type of astrology that dabbles with metaphysical properties as well. So those are the different types of astrology readings that you could probably book. So it's really important to be informed on the type of astrology information you want, and then to make sure that when you actually research the astrologer you book with, that they're well versed in that particular school and that particular type of astrology, because there are so many different backgrounds and so many different ways of learning and so many different ways of teaching. And so for this particular person that wrote in, I think that was just such an excellent question. And I'm really grateful that you sent it to me. Yeah, it's important to be informed. And so, folks, I'm still learning astrology, and it's something that I've just kind of delved into in the past couple of years. And so I do offer natal chart readings. They're very basic, and but they're very fun for me to do. I really enjoy it. And I do offer those at a discounted price because I'm learning. And that's just one of the perks of, trusting someone who is pursuing their skill set. So thank you for tuning in. I'm really grateful for this question. It was an excellent one to bring up in the channel here. I hope y'all benefited from this information. If you did, please leave a comment, I'd love it if you subscribe. I'd love it if you share this video with someone that might find the information helpful. And again, I'm learning. So if there's a school or a method that I left out, because I kind of was doing this from memory, please feel free to comment in the info below, because the more we know, the better I think everyone will be. So this is more of like an abundance type YouTube channel where I feel like the sharing of knowledge is helpful for everyone. All right, thanks for tuning in. Again, Psychic Readings by Brandi.com, and that's Brandi with an I, Brandi. And I do offer psychic readings, tarot readings, astrology, distance Reiki healing, chakra readings, past life readings, private events. All my services are currently virtual, unless you're booking me to teach an in-person class, or booking me for an intimate occasion such as a wedding or a private party, or some sort of company party. So thanks for tuning in. I am so glad you're here. Have a wonderful weekend. Mwah. Goodbye.